everyone, welcome to Journey to Jobs. Today we have Sreejitha with us, who is currently pursuing her third BTech in Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning, has secured an internship at Goldman Sachs. Hello Sreejitha.
Hi Janu, it's nice meeting you. Hi everyone.
So Sreejitha, we are excited to know about your journey since first year of college to till now. Can you please describe about it?
Sure, definitely. To be honest, one would expect me to be the diligent student, like someone who would be concentrated from the very beginning of the college, but I was not that kind. So, in my first year, in the one semester, to be honest, I practically did nothing. It was more of making friends in the college. It was more of like exploring into what this tech the branch I took has. So it took some time for me to adjust from being a complete amateur to knowing something about coding. So the one, to be honest, there's nothing I have done that is much remarkable. I was focusing on my academics first, rather than the coding part and all of that. And in 1 2 I was introduced to data structures. So I was not aware of the importance of the data structure. I mean, I was aware of it, but it was like I couldn't concentrate much on the data structures because my mind and my brain was mostly showing interest in the development side. So in the 1 2 I started exploring into Python and a few development projects based on Python. I think it's in 2 1 I started participating in a lot of hackathons, and I really loved participating in those hackathons because I was learning a lot of things simultaneously while doing projects, and it was really good. It felt good. We were forming teams, we were doing things, and it felt like we are leading the world, kind of thing, kind of moment. I think it was in 2 2 that I realized that if I'm not gonna get started with DSA, it's gonna be so hard for me in the future. And I looked at all of my friends, my classmates, they were moving so forward, and I was like, just there, struck there. I have a lot of knowledge. Nonetheless, I was not really good with DSA, I realized. And my friends, it's not about comparing, but it's about like knowing where you stand. It's really important to know where you're standing. It's not unhealthy comparison, but rather healthy comparison. And I realized that I need to step up my game. So I started doing a lot of DSA along with my projects. So I started doing the data structures more seriously. I took them a little too seriously, and then past to 3 1 I continued doing them, and at the end of 3 1 that's when we had the Goldman Sachs internship positions open, and I applied them, and hopefully here we are.
What are the coding platforms that you have used in your coding journey, and have you faced any struggles while doing DSA in competitive platforms?
Yeah, so there are a lot of coding platforms that I've explored. I don't even remember the names of a few. So I explored those many platforms. But like I explored something called Code in Game, which is practically how they teach us coding through games. Then I explored something called Scratch by MIT, which in the beginning which helped a lot. But I stuck to three coding platforms that actually helped me improve. So the beginner one, Code Chef, and then Code Forces, and then Lead Code. The kind of questions that you have in these three platforms are really unique, and they help you think more than your capability. They help you reach to an extent where you're able to apply all the data structures you know to them. And better than that, you also even have a community of people. If you take Lead Code, for example, there are people who discuss the answers and who tell unique solutions to it. So not only the solutions you know, you'll get to know about a lot of different solutions and how other people are approaching to their problems, and it helped me a lot. So the only three platforms that I am still consistent in are Code Forces, Code Chef, and Lead Code. And also I take part in the contest that they put up weekly, so the bi-weekly contest and the weekly contest, and they are also really helpful. And one thing that I faced, which one difficulty that I faced while coding is, it is easy for me to form logics. You see, I can think of a logic, I can think of a solution and way to approach the problem, but the fact that I have to code next, something always scares me. Like, oh my god, I'm not able to, maybe I don't even know how to write this. How am I gonna write this into the code? That question, it always baffles me. It throws me off guard. I get the logic, but if I have to code it, I get a lot of difficulty there. And I think it comes with practicing. So you keep on practicing data structure or a type of coding, and then you get into it, you do multiple problems on it. That's how you get familiar with it. So you get familiar with the topic, it becomes easy for you to do that. I think that's how I approach that difficulty of mine.
Since when have you started working on your projects? Like, on what technologies you have worked on?
There's my favorite question. Like I said, I was really interested in doing projects from 1 to. So the first thing I've ever done was a web application using Python's tkinter package. So ever since that, I never stopped doing projects. So I started with that, and then I got into Python turtle package, which helped me develop a small Pong game. And then in the 2-1, like I said, I wanted to learn the web tech stack. So I started doing HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So the part of learning thing is learning it while doing the project. I believe in that, because when you are doing a project, you are actually applying it. You're not just reading the concept, you're not just taking a look at it, but rather you're applying it. So it's going to stay in your brain for longer. So if I wanted to learn something new, I will start doing a project in that. So in the 2-1, I started doing web technology projects, and I did a lot of them for all of the hackathons too. I did a few in the Python TK Inter and few in the web technologies. And in 2-2, I attended a workshop on, no, in 2-1 actually, I started machine learning. So at the end of 2-1, I went bit by bit into machine learning. I started making smaller models, like recommendation systems, like very small recommendation systems, random code generated based on mood, etc., and all of that. And then my two semester, I had the chance to go and attend a workshop on deep learning in NIT AP through IEEE CIS chapter of our college. So when I went there, I got to learn about the deep neural networks. I learned about the CNNs and all of them. So right after I came back from that workshop, I started doing a project in deep learning along with my team. And this project we also submitted for a hackathon later on. So the thing is, you are doing while you are doing projects, you are going to learn a lot of things. So if you want to learn something new, what I suggest is learn it by making a project. And in 3-1, there aren't typically any borderline projects that I have done. um, I was busy with the internship drives and all of that, and now currently working on NLP and Munstack.
Since many people fail in the first step itself, that is resume shortlisting, so how did you build your resume?
So everyone knows this thing. A lot of companies do not lot of HRs do not directly handpick each resume and view it. What's happening now is we are using ATS, which automatically gives a score for the resume. So if one knows how to increase their ATS score, it's done. Automatically the resume is gonna shortlist. And there are a few tricks to do that. So obviously you're going to have your name at the beginning. You're going to have your coding platforms links and your LinkedIn account, and maybe if you have a website account, and your blog account, all of that. And then you start with education at the top. There a lot of people do put objective, but I feel like uh, it doesn't add a lot of value to it. I mean, it could be there, but a resume, if it is in 1.5 pages, it's better. So my professors and my mentors didn't recommend me putting up an objective, so I did not go with it. And then the first thing I had was education. So I started with what I'm currently studying in my GPAs and what my previous education details. And here is what a lot of people do. Here is where a lot of people mistake. They go directly with the skills at first. But I say you follow putting experience at first, because the resume scorer ATS has such a peculiar way of adding score to your resume, that it checks for keywords like experience. It checks for keywords such as skills. So putting up experience in the top gave more score to my resume than putting it somewhere below. So put your experience first, whether it could be an online internship or just a mentorship, but that adds a lot of value to it. So put your experience in the beginning, and then go with the skills you have. Now go with the skills. It could be your coding skills, it could be the tech stack you know, and it could be the number of languages you know and the tools you know, and all of that. They all can come under the skills. And be sure that you are putting something you know 100%, because later on a lot of questions will be asked on your resume. In your technical rounds, all the questions will be on your resume. So if you put something which you have a half knowledge or partial knowledge, you're gonna get doomed. So, and after skills, what you need to do is you need to put up projects. And something I advise everyone not to do with projects is, I don't want you to write the full description of the project, because in the interviews when they are looking at your resume, if you provide all the information about the project right in the resume, they won't have any questions to ask you, and they will go on asking about more and more technical questions. So it baffles your brain. It makes your brain freeze up. So if they are going to ask something you know, it will be easier for you. So when you are putting up projects, be minimalist about it. Put only the necessary information, like what the project is. That's it. Don't put the tech stack, maybe the main tech stack, but not everything. The packages, don't mention all of the packages, just the main tech stack. And this gives the interviewer a chance to ask questions on your projects in the interview, which kills time. And after projects, what you need to do is you need to put up your achievements and certificates. And one thing is numbers. The ATS resume scorer gives a lot of priority to numbers. Let's say you won a hackathon. Instead of putting I won the hackathon, won the so and so hackathon, put placed first in so and so hackathon. The number first has a weight to it, has a score to it. So wherever you are putting your achievements, make sure that you're putting up a number in it. Let's say you got a certificate and only 100 people got this particular certificate. Say one of the 100 recipients of this so and so certificate. Adding the numbers increases the score of the resume. And then after the achievements and certifications, go on with positions of responsibilities. It could be you mentoring a student, or it could be you leading a social club or student club, or it could be you organizing an event. So all of this makes your resume look unique in the eye of the HR. And if you still have space left, you could add co-curricular activities, which also has a positive review on it. So and one thing that everyone should keep in mind, that whatever you're putting in your resume will definitely be asked in your interview. That's for sure. So if you don't know completely about it, don't do the mistake of putting it, because once they ask you a question on it and you were not able to answer it, it gives a lot of negative impact on your profile.
So that's a really great advice. So now we are excited to know about your process of selection with Goldman Sachs.
Sure, definitely. So the first thing was the opening of applications, and lot of resumes got shortlisted. I don't think there was any requirement for for the resume shortlisting thing. I think whoever applied it got shortlisted to the next round. So the first round was aptitude round. It held on for 2 hours. I think we had 70 questions, and there were negative points for wrong attempts, wrong answers. So I was careful enough not to put something I don't know. I attempted 52 questions. There were a lot of topics. There were questions on ratios, there were questions on percentages, there were the train speed, relative speed questions, boat rowing questions, all of them. And there were a few English questions, language questions, grammar, and all of that. So it was a combination of all the aptitude. And out of 70, I answered 52. I think a week after that, we got mails for the next level shortlisting. And I got shortlisted, obviously. And the next round was coding round. So in the coding round, we had a few MCQs in the beginning. They were about CS fundamentals. We had a few on OS, we had a few on machine learning, a few on different topics of CS. And then we had three coding questions. One was easy, one was medium, and one was hard. I was able to get the medium question, but then I fumbled so hard with the easy and hard questions. In the easy question, I was missing a single test case, a single condition which I didn't know how to find out. I tried different things, but I realized that I was putting a lot of time to the first one and I skipped to the third one. And even third one, I was able to not get all the test cases done. So the first one out of 12, I got 9 test cases. The medium one, I got 12 out of 12. And the harder one, I got 9 out of 12 test cases. So I was like, a lot of people got 2 of them completely finished or 3 of them completely finished. So I didn't think that I had a chance I was going to get selected. But then later I realized that the plagiarism check was so they did a lot of plagiarism check, and hopefully my thing got shortlisted. I got shortlisted. And then after the online assessment, the next round was interviews, and I had around 2 to 2.5 weeks of preparation time between the online assessment and the interviews. So I did a lot of strivers in all this time. I think that's one of the best decisions that I ever took. And then the interview process, it was going to be held for 2 days. We were informed, and we were supposed to log in from 9 in the morning to 7:30 p.m. in the night. So we should be logged in, and we would be called randomly. We wouldn't know, we wouldn't have a separate slot for us located. So it's like you need to wait, and whenever someone's free, you'll get allocated to them. So that's how the process went. So the first day for the first interview, I had mine around 10:30 or 10 p.m. So one of the question was related to reverse linked list. I mean, there are a lot of approaches, but the approach, I told him 3 to 4 approaches, and I was asked to code in the reverse linked list approach. And the next one was circular array. Again, it was a question where there were a lot of approaches, and I was asked to code on the circular array tech. And then the HR, he tried on the codes, and it went well. So I kept on. The one thing that I am positive that helps is you keep on explain what you're doing. So while writing the code, I was telling, okay, I'm starting the loop for so and so purpose. I'm starting the loop from this range to this range because this is the reason. So explain every single line that you can while writing the code. And then at the night, I got a mail that I got shortlisted to the second interview round. And the next day, I was thinking maybe I'd have my next interview around 10, 11 like yesterday. But as soon as I logged in, they said they were going to send me from the waiting room to the interview room. I panicked. I panicked so bad. So I asked the coordinator there if I could take 5 minutes and take a breather and just come back. And thankfully, she was very friendly, and everyone were really friendly. And she agreed to it. So I didn't take more than 5 minutes. Just after 5 minutes, I logged back in, and I was added to the interview room. And then, the interview began. The first thing is introduction, and then they asked me about one of my projects. I had a deep learning project in my resume, so they asked me why I made that project and what was the reason for the project and what's the use case and how is it different. So I explained all of them. They also asked me about the tech stack that I used in the project, and I also explained about it. And then we went into the coding process. There was a problem about the depth of a tree and also longest common subsequence. But it was with a lot of constraints. So I told him around 3 approaches. He was yet not satisfied, so I had to tell him 2 more approaches, modifying a lot. And after coding it out, he was satisfied, but I didn't think that I could make it because I had to explain him 5 approaches, right? So but right after the interview, I got added into the waiting room. And in 5 to 10 minutes, the coordinator came back to me to tell me that I got shortlisted for the next round, which is to be held at around 12 p.m. the same day. So I was glad. I was like, oh my god, I passed the technical rounds. Maybe the next round is HR. I can take a little breather, not the complete breather, but a little. I can relieve a little tension. So at 12 p.m., I logged back in, and I was in the waiting room. So I asked the coordinator if it was a HR, but she said it's an actual technical round. And there goes my panic button again. But yeah, I had a lot of time. My interview started at 1 p.m. And generally, the interviews were to happen between 40 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. And I'll say my third interview is my most favorite one. Apart from the fact that I got so tense before the interview, the third interview, that remained my most favorite one. So my interviewer was VP at the Bangalore branch. He had 15 years of experience with Goldman Sachs and 23 years of experience in his complete life with software engineering. So when he introduced himself and told me about his experience, I was like, damn, he's gonna ask really hard questions. So then he asked about me, I gave my introduction, and then he started with the question of why I took ML. So I told him about how I was inspired by Tesla, about the automation and all of that, and how I took ML. So we discussed a bit on Elon Musk, and then we discussed a bit on Nvidia, and we discussed a bit on GPUs, and then he told me that he had my resume in one screen, he had my GitHub in one screen, and he had my LinkedIn in one screen. And he asked me if I was ready for the technical questions. I said, yeah, I'm ready, shoot them. So he started asking me a lot of questions, and a lot of them were based on the code I wrote and from my GitHub, on my projects and the tech stacks I used. If He asked me around like 15 to 20 questions on the tech stacks, the technical questions. I was able to answer around 12 or 13 or 14, and the rest, they were really unique and peculiar, that I was like, how did I not know this before? I should have known this. And he also told me that I see you are really interested in ML, right? You should know these things. I was like, definitely. I'm baffled myself that I don't know these things before. I'm definitely going to check them right after my interview. And he was pretty satisfied. And after that, after the technical questions, we had more questions on GPU, and from GPU somehow I diverted the topic towards finance, because Goldman Sachs is about finance. So from finance we started talking about economy, how stock market affects the economy. We started talking about how wars affect economy, and how wars affecting economy affect stock market. So we started talking about random stuff but relatable stuff. So we started talking about India's economy. We started talking about a lot of different things, and the conversation was really interesting, that the interview went for around 50 minutes to 1 hour, 20 minutes or 30 minutes more than what it actually has to go. And he was asking me if I had any questions to him, and I kept on asking him all the questions I had, like I at some point I asked him so many questions. The thing is, he was interested in keeping on answering. I told him that if it's not taking much time, I do have a few more questions, and he was open to take more questions. He said so. Because managing time is also important in interview, I was careful to ask him about it, and he was open with it, so we went on with it. And yeah, finally, after the interview, we ended on good terms, and I was pretty satisfied with it. I was like, this went well. But even though I knew it went well, the period of waiting for the call letter, or whether I got selected or not, the tension whether I was gonna get it or not, I was literally on my nerves the whole time. And I think after 3 weeks or something, we got the mail that I got the offer, and I've never been happier ever since.
So that's so cool. The key is enjoying the interview actually.
Exactly.
So could you give any more advices to us?
Yep, definitely. So the first thing is LinkedIn. Keep being active on LinkedIn. Whatever you do, nothing, it doesn't matter if it is small. Keep being active in it. Keep posting. Keep connecting to the right people, And then there's something called ADP list. So ADP list is actually where you can connect to working professionals. You can have one-to-one sessions with them for free, And you can actually, even if you have any doubts regarding your projects or anything else, you can talk out with them and they will really help a lot. I've talked to more than 30 mentors the last year and it has been really helpful. And one more thing is keep updating your resume according to the company you're applying to. So research about the company before you apply to and learn about them first. And one more thing is writing things down. So it's generally common because people like me, I keep postponing things to do tomorrow and I end up not doing things or doing them last minute. So if you make a schedule, write them down, it actually helps a lot in getting things done. And I tell this a lot. And finally, use a reward system. So we do have a lot of hobbies, a lot of interests we want to do, but it's really hard to manage time when we are CS majors. So what you need to do is, let's say you solve 5 problems and you'll read, if you like to read books, let's say you solve 5 problems, put a reward that if you solve 5 problems you'll read 100 pages of a book. So use your hobbies to reward yourself for doing something you have to do.
Thank you, Sreejitha. It is really great having you here and is very informative. We hope the best for you.
Thank you so much, and I take immense pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank
Thank
you.
you.